Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk live on YouTube at streamia.com. It's going on with Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio. We might not get Michael Bullock here tonight. Obviously, because it's Valentine's Day, he's with his significant other, and I'm pretty sure we most likely will not see him tonight. If we do, we'll catch him up on what he misses. If he doesn't, then we will see him. Um, Whenever we do our recap of the NXT next show. So the pay per view. So whenever that may be, I don't know. We'll figure that out when in future content. Um, so obviously, let's start with TNA, and then we'll get into SmackDown Live, and then of course that will lead us into our Vengeance Day, which is our next event for NXT. So we start out with TNA with the TNA Heavyweight Champion, Joe Hendry, putting the title on the line against Jake something. When it was all said and done, the winner of the bout. Oh, hold on, my screen just froze. And okay, we got it. The winner of the bout in the got it. Uh, all right. In 11 minutes and 45 seconds, the TNA Heavyweight Champion Joe Hendry. Solid opener. Very good match. You can say it about three and a quarter stars. Solid fight. Good battle. And it was a great match. So the next thing we did have was then after everything went down, Ryan Nemeth comes out saying that his brother was not happy about all this stuff. Accused, Ryan claimed that Nick was sick of the fans of Joe Hendry and called and Ryan said that Joe was a fraud. Well, that brought out Santino Marella, and you know, basically Nick came in the ring, did a couple of super kicks on Jake something, but the last super kick, Jake something ducked, and Nick accidentally hit Santino and knocked him out. Well, Santino recovered, and he did what he thought was right. May not have been a fair call, but a decision had to be done. And when you lay your hands on the Port Authority of TNA, consequences does have there would be some consequences. Nick Nemeth has been suspended for a month without pay. He is on the sidelines for the next 4 weeks. He's on the bench. Uh, Ryan basically made a stink about it, but Santino's like, there's nothing he can really do. He had to lay down the law. He felt like that was a fair punishment. To me, could this mean we might see Nick Nemeth possibly heading the WWE? Could he be heading NXT bound with the working relationship? Because now Nick Nemeth doesn't have to be on TNA for the next 4 weeks. Could we see him jump over to WWE for the next 4 weeks? Preferably NXT for the next 4 weeks. Anthony Florio, solid opener, but my goodness, boy, do we have to talk about what Nick Nemeth did after the fact and the subsequent suspension that also came down the pipe.
Absolutely. 3 to 3.25 stars for the match. It was a decent match. I can't say that it was presented in a way that it ever seemed like a possibility that Jake something was going to win the title. And as for what happened to Nick Nemeth, read into that what you will as to why he's going to be gone for the next 4 weeks. I haven't heard anything about him going back to WWE. I mean, that would be something if he did at this stage. the only if he does go back to WWE, the only concern I have is that he's going to get lost in the shuffle like he did before. So here in TNA, he's not getting lost in the shuffle. He's coming off a 6-month title reign before dropping it to Joe Henry at Genesis.
But you would think WWE would do the right thing and at least make Nick Nemeth a star for the 4 weeks. You don't necessarily have to put him in a big thing, but at least make him look good before he has to go back to TNA.
Part of that NXT crossover?
I would say yes.
Well, I mean, it's very possible. We'll have to keep an eye on it. We do have the fallout from NXT Vengeance Day coming up Tuesday night, and next week TNA it's gonna be another live TNA from the old stomping grounds of NXT, Full Sail. So we got to read into that what we will. So well, like I said, 3 stars, decent match, outcome never in doubt, and onward and upward for Joe Henry. So not much more to say. Let's move on to our next matchup.
Well, this one unfortunately will be a cutout. It was the King Bees, and they went up against Ash and Heather by Elegance, and it was Ash and Heather winning the match in 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Not much to say. It was kind of more of a filler fight more than anything else. So after all that, we had a whole bunch of promo stuff after the fact. The next matchup we had was Frankie Kazarian versus Sami Callihan. And Frankie Kazarian wins the match in 45 seconds. This was a stunner. Because you would think at that at the grand scheme of things, Frankie Kazarian and Sami Callihan, you were thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a banger. This is going to be a solid fight. They pulled 45 seconds out on us. I kind of feel like they pulled the rug out from under us. What was that?
It was because of Mance Warner and Steph DeLander.
Yes. Unfortunately, they did kind of show up and they did leave. They left Sammy in a little bit in the heap. So Frankie kind of picked the bones on this one. So yeah,
that he did.
So, that I guess that was a major oversight. That was not. I should have brought that up. So yeah. That's my bad on my part. So then the next thing that we did have
no worries.
was, well, yeah, here we go. You wanted it, you got it. NXT versus TNA. Xia Brookside going one-on-one with NXT own Cora Jade, winner of the bout. 7 minutes, 35 seconds. Cora Jade from NXT gets the win. Anthony Florio, this one was a good one. Solid fight.
Positively. 2 3/4 of a star is what I'm going to give it. I mean, hey, solid matchup here. And nice win for, I mean, I'm kind of not surprised with the outcome. I mean, they're building Cora to be a potential challenger, a future challenger for Masha Slamovich and that Knockout Championship. And Cora's road to the Knockouts title shot continues, and they're doing it in a perfectly logical way by having her win some matches. That should be enough to set her up for something bigger down the line, and maybe a possible pay-per-view showdown with Masha would make sense. Not much of a match here, but Xia Brookside can make people look pretty good, so I will give her that. So for me, this was a 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star match. I'm not really surprised by the outcome. I had a feeling Cora was going to win this, and so not much more for me to say. So MF, your girl Cora Jade, one step closer to a possible knockouts title showdown with Masha.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with this. So we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, it's definitely a solid match more than anything else. So the next thing that we did have on the show, speaking of which is in the 2 and 3/4 of a star, and speaking of the TNA Knockouts champion, it was Masha Slamovich putting the title on the line against Savannah Evans. Of course, Savannah Evans winning the Battle Royale a week before to get this opportunity. Masha Slamovich wins the match in 7 minutes and 44 seconds to successfully defend the title. Another solid match. Another 2.5 to 2 and 3/4. I think they did a good job with it. Predictable outcome, but similar to the Joe Henry match, it was a good boosting victory for Masha. That gives her a little bit of the creed over her, but also give a lot of credit to Savannah Evans too. She actually really stepped up and really did a very good job. This almost felt the same thing like the Jake something Joe Henry fight. Yes, Joe Henry was supposed to win. Joe Henry won. No complaints. But good performance by Jake something to make it into a decent half match. Again, predictable outcome, predictable thing. Masha looked great, but Savannah Evans also looked good in defeat. So she's got nothing to hang her head on. This was a solid match for her. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
With Savannah Evans winning the Battle Royal, there was the question about whether she would be able to hang with Masha Slamovich. And she did okay here. And they got a decent amount of time as well. And that's one, but I do have a little bit of constructive criticism. They were trying here, but there was only so much to get excited about. Not only is Cora Jade lurking around to be fairly dull, other than having some nice power stuff. It wasn't an overly thrilling match or anything, but they did what they could in the situation they were in. So I'll give it 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star. Exactly. MF said it exactly right. Exactly like what we saw in the TNA Heavyweight Championship match with Joe Henry and Jake something. Exactly what it was supposed to be. So a challenger of the week, a challenger of the month, in a sense. So 2.5, 2 3/4 for this. So with that being said, MF, we move on.
And the next match that we do have on the show is considered the main event of the evening, and this was a big one. The walking weapon, Josh Alexander going one-on-one with Eric Young, and it was Eric Young winning the match. 14 minutes and 50 seconds. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
Fight of the night for me. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star for the effort. It was a good match, and they put in some memorable spots in there with Josh Alexander hitting the Styles Clash and locking in the sharpshooter. But considering it was most likely Josh's final match, I was hoping it would have been one of Josh's best matches of his career. Nevertheless, it did its job. Josh Alexander will sorely be missed in TNA. A bit of a constructive criticism. A bit of a weak ending, as Eric Young just cheated to win. Not the best way to go. But it does give Eric Young a win on the way to maybe a possible world title feud with Joe Henry. Alexander is one of the biggest stars TNA has ever had, and even though his time didn't come at the apex of the company, it is going to be a big loss for the company to have him gone. A nice main event to go out on here. though I was hoping for a bigger and somewhat better ending. So, but I am going to give it 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star, and call it the fight of the night. So, not much more to say there. Let's get to the overall review here, and I'm going to give this an excess of 7 to 7.25 out of 10. Impact continues to be a solid 2-hour program that goes by quickly. I love Leon Slater being endorsed by the Hardys, and I hope he sees long-term success in TNA. I also like that Mustafa Ali has the good hands and Tasha Steelz with him in his cabinet, and that in turn gives them something to do on the show. We haven't seen a whole lot of Mance Warner yet in TNA, but judging by his previous work, he has a ton of potential that I hope gets realized. Josh Alexander had his last match with TNA, for now anyway, and I was surprised they didn't play more off of that in the post-match. Nevertheless, he had a great career in TNA, and I, for one, wish the best for him wherever he lands. And right now, the two big suitors, obviously, WWE and AEW. I'm hoping he goes to WWE. I don't want to see him go to AEW because he's going to get lost in the shuffle in AEW, I'm afraid.
Well, I hate to say it, but I actually do have some
I hope I'm
breaking news,
wrong,
Anthony. This actually was confirmed earlier today. Josh Alexander is going to sign with AEW.
He's going to AEW.
Yes.
Ugh. Oh, that's awful. Oh, Tony Khan, I hope you know what you're doing. I hope you do.
Apparently,
the last time they got a big name. Look what happened the last time they got a big name from TNA. Deonna Purrazzo, and look what they did to her.
Yeah. I will say this. Apparently, the last couple of weeks, TNA's actually done pretty well. Like, show-wise, production-wise. So, I mean, let's hold on. Let's slam the brakes here. Let's pause for a moment and let's see what they do, because apparently the shows have actually been halfway decent lately for AEW. So it looks like I'm not gonna say they turned the corner all the way, but it is starting to turn in the right direction if you're an AEW fan. It seems like whatever they're doing or whatever change they made, it's starting to look like it's starting to work in their favor, and all of a sudden they got a little bit of a headwind. I'm not saying they're all the way back, but at least we can I think I can say they're on the right path to a redemption here that might even, I'll openly admit it, it might even make me consider lifting the band. I'm not saying that it is, but they're starting to show that it might give me a cause to at least start to somewhat reconsider the band that we have on AEW. I'll say that.
Fair enough. So I just hope and pray that Josh Alexander doesn't end up what happens to Josh Alexander, or what happened to Deonna Purrazzo, does not happen to Josh Alexander down there. I really hope not. Me personally, I wanted to see him in WWE, especially in NXT.
I think a lot of people would have loved to have seen him not just in WWE but in NXT.
Yes,
because I feel like he doesn't need to be on the main roster, but he could definitely would have done some wonders in NXT.
I was hoping he would go to WWE, start in NXT, and have him and Ethan Page reform the North.
Yeah, I mean that was also the thing.
If they had done that, Fraxium's title reign would have been in major jeopardy. Major. So to the point where I think they would have taken him off of him. But but it is what it is. So if he wants to go to AEW, hey, who are we to tell him no? So I wish him the best. And Tony Khan, whatever you do, don't f him up the way you effed up Deonna Purrazzo. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Deonna Purrazzo deserves way better than what she's gotten.
Oh yeah.
Especially after the work she did in TNA when she literally put the knockout division on her back.
Yeah. Total agreement. All right. 7 out of 10 is my rating for the show. I think they did a really good job with it as well. Really nothing more to say, so we go right on to SmackDown from the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. Okay. A little bit of a heads up. So a lot of people were like, oh, great. We're going to get here's George Tessitore, Wade Barrett. Well, Joey Tess was not there tonight. The reason why? He actually had prior commitments that was beyond his control. He was actually working for Top Rank Boxing on ESPN tonight. They actually had an event from the theater in Madison Square Garden in New York. As many of you guys know, that is the infamous
Paramount.
It was called the Paramount Theater back then, but now they just call it the theater in Madison Square Garden. So the Paramount Theater, whatever you want to call it, we'll forever call it the Paramount Theater in Madison Square Garden. But they were there. They got top ranked boxing going down tonight on ESPN. So Joey Tess had to step away for the night. So who did we bring in? Big Joseph of NXT showed up. And he got to reunite with his old stomping buddy, Wade Barrett. And I gotta say, I don't think we had a problem with it.
No,
I think because the chemistry with Barrett and Big Joseph is just as good. So I actually think a lot of people were pretty, I think a lot of people were like, wait, who the hell is this guy? Who is this guy? We've never heard of this guy before. Trust me, he did actually a pretty good job tonight. I thought he did a good job filling in for Joey Tess. But don't worry, folks. Tessitore will be back next week on SmackDown Live.
In New Orleans.
Yes, in New Orleans. So we started out the show with Cody Rhodes cutting a promo, interrupted by Drew McIntyre, and then Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga showed up, and they kind of got into it a little bit, and solid opener, really not much to say. I will say this though, for the Jacob Fatu to get that kind of a reaction from the fans, what does that tell you? That's interesting. Very interesting, to say the very least. Huh?
The fans are getting behind him.
Yeah, they are.
And I think it goes back to that Saturday night's main event when he went to town on Braun Strowman.
Oh yeah.
That's when his popularity started to go.
Yep. So here we go. First fight of the night. Chelsea Green versus Naomi. This is an elimination chamber qualifying match for the women. Winner of the bout, 8 minutes and 30 seconds, was Naomi. Naomi wins it. So she gets to go over to the chamber. She gets added to that list. And Anthony, you already talked about how deep and how amazing that list is. It just got even more deeper and more amazing. We're adding Naomi into that mix. 8 minutes and 30 seconds. I would say about two and a half to 2 and 3 solid match. And Florio, it is yours.
My rating same rate. That's the same rating I had. 2.5, 2 3/4 for me as well. These two have had several opportunities to work together and seem to get a little better every time. They have good chemistry and know what the other person is capable of. So they did a lot to make each other look good. Trish Stratus was in the crowd. She actually did an interview with Wade Barrett prior to this match. And a possible feud with Chelsea and Trish would be awesome. And WWE needs to make it happen. And the Meteora from Naomi looked great. She hit it flush. And now we have a stacked field in the women's elimination chamber. We just added another big one. We got one spot left. And right now we've got Liv. So for right now, folks, it's Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, and now you can add Naomi to that list. Man, oh man. All of them former women's champions in their own right. And Monday night on Raw, the field will be complete come Raw Monday night in Charlotte. Raquel Rodriguez will go one-on-one with Roxanne Perez. And I'm going to go on the record right now. I'm going for a bold prediction here. I think Roxanne's going to win that match. Especially because of what Roxanne did in the Women's Royal Rumble, setting the new longevity record. I think WWE's got some big plans for Roxanne Perez. So, and I'll address that a little bit more when we get into our Vengeance Day preview in a short. So, 2.5, 2 3/4. Another outcome never in doubt. I had a feeling Naomi would win, and you want to go for the big names, and you heard the names, and man, oh man, this justifiably may be the most stacked women's elimination chamber lineup I may have ever seen. When you have all these former champions in there, and of course we'll address, because later in the night, the picture for WrestleMania just got a lot clear, just got big time clearer. So not much more here. 2.5, 2 3/4. So MF stacked field. And we're going to add one more name to that list, either Raquel Rodriguez or Roxanne Perez come Monday night on Raw. So we'll see what happens there. So it's a 2.5 to 2 3/4 for me. So MF, I'm guessing MF had to step away for a moment, I'm guessing. So we will await him to come back, and we'll have him set up our next matchup here. But in all the years since the women started having elimination chamber matches, I can honestly say this is the most loaded field I've ever seen, and this has potential to be one of the best women's chamber matches, if not the best women's elimination chamber match. When you think of how far Liv Morgan has come, and the bodies of work of Bianca and Naomi, I mean, that's going to be an interesting dynamic. They're currently the women's tag team champions. A big development came out of that tonight, which we'll address. So we shall see what happens. So 2.5, 2 3/4. MF is back. So, all right, MF, the most stacked women's chamber field I've ever seen. And I think it's going to lead to one hell of a match in 2 weeks. So with that being said, let's move on to our next match, if you would.
Well, before we get into the next match, there was one thing that needed to be addressed.
Yes.
And that was, Anthony, I'm going to get into it. So if you guys were watching Get Up on ESPN earlier this morning, you guys know that The Undertaker and Michelle McCool were on the show. And they were talking about the Annie event, that they got a new show for Annie that WWE's been working with. And it's kind of, I want to say it's a little bit of a Tough Enough type show. But,
yes.
Yeah,
it's called Legends and Future Greats. And Undertaker is one of 4 coaches on the show.
Yeah.
It's going to be him, Booker T, Bubba Ray / Bully Ray Dudley, and of course, one of your all-time favorites, MF, Mickey James.
Mickey James. So,
apparently, I guess Michelle McCool, is she like an assistant coach? I guess. I don't know.
No, okay. The reason why they added her or she was mentioned into the show was because Mickey asked for help.
Ah.
Mickey brought Michelle in just to be an observer, to help her out, to do a favor for her and everything else. The problem is there's a competition going on, and hubby was left in the dark and did not know this. So let's just say this drew the ire of the Undertaker, but Mrs. Undertaker said, "Well, Mickey asked for some help, so if you call, I'm going to show up." She did the Joe Henry. Say her name, she'll appear. So that's what happened.
Full circle moment, considering the history of those two.
Yes, without a doubt.
The infamous,
we all know.
The infamous,
yeah, we all,
Piggy James.
We all know about the history between Michelle McCool and Mickey James. But so they were doing that, promoting the show and everything else. And partway through the interview, Triple H showed up. Well, he didn't show up in person, but he showed up on the screen on ESPN. And the reason why he was there was to let the world know and to inform Michelle McCool that Michelle McCool will be the second inductee of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025. She is in. She will be inducted on WrestleMania weekend. They have not officially announced the date yet, so we don't know when it's going to be. However, it will be during WrestleMania week. We know it's going to be in Vegas, so she will be inducted into the pantheon of greats in the world of professional wrestling. The body of work of Michelle McCool is definitely legendary enough, and it's definitely Hall of Fame worthy enough, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people did not have any issues with this one. Sometimes you get certain individuals where they're like, do they truly deserve to be Hall of Famers? Yes or no? There's always an argument. I can definitely say there's not much of an argument on this one. This one definitely would have been a yes to me. Anthony Florio, Michael Bullock, hell, I think even Dee Woodson, who is our port authority on the women's division, she would probably say that Michelle deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. So Michelle McCool is the second inductee, class of 2025. Anthony Florio, Michelle McCool, or AKA Mrs. Undertaker, has now etched her name into immortality forever. She is going into the Hall of Fame in 2025. Now the question is, who inducts her? Maybe Mickey James? Maybe Layla L comes back? And I hope Layla comes back. We know she was buzzing on social media earlier this afternoon.
Mickey James, Mickey James did too.
Mickey James was buzzing as well too. So, I mean, it could be Mickey, could be Layla, it could be someone else. I don't know, but Michelle McCool's going into the Hall of Fame.
What about her husband?
Yeah. Even Taker. Yeah, possible.
Because remember, when Sharmell went in a few years ago, Booker inducted her. So it's been done. So before I get to Michelle McCool, MF, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we even addressed Triple H's induction.
Well, actually, yeah. All right.
So, I mean, what else is there to say when it comes to Triple H? I mean, the resume speaks for itself. I mean, duh. Of course, it was a couple of weeks ago during a town hall, a town hall meeting, a WWE town hall meeting at the WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, when all of a sudden, out of the blue, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker show up, and they said that we made an executive decision, and Triple H, you're gonna go in, you're gonna be officially a WWE Hall of Famer for your singles career. You're already in there as a member of D-Generation X, but it's time for you to take your rightful place in the Hall of Fame, and rightfully so. I mean, look at the body of work. Baltimore Sun named him the Wrestler of the Decade in 2010. He does have some dubious honors, unfortunately. CBS Sports voted Worst Angle of the Year in 2018 with Shawn Michaels against The Undertaker and Kane, which led to that disaster of a match in Saudi Arabia, which we don't talk about. International Wrestling Federation, he was a one-time IWF heavyweight champion. And believe it or not, he was a one-time IWF World Tag Team Champion. And his partner, believe it or not, Perry Saturn. Can you imagine that? Perry Saturn and Triple H, Tag Team Champions? That's interesting. Feud of the Year in 2000. This is Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Feud of the Year in 2000 against Kurt Angle. Yeah. Feud of the Year 2004 against Chris Benoit. Again, I say, yeah. Feud of the Year 2009, Randy Orton. Duh. The Home Invasion, anyone? Home Invasion? Which MF and I, we freaked the F out on that night, and we still freak out to this day about it. One of our all-time favorite moments on Raw. Another Feud of the Year in 2013 versus Daniel Bryan as a member of the Authority. Match of the Year 2004 versus Chris Benoit and Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 20. Again, I say, duh. Go back and watch the match if you haven't. 2012 Match of the Year, End of an Era, Hell in a Cell, Undertaker. Need I say any more? Dubious honors again. 2000, he was voted Most Hated Wrestler of the Decade, 2000 to 2009. 2003 to 2005, Most Hated Wrestler of the Year. 2013, Most Hated Wrestler of the Year as a member of the Authority. Most Hated Wrestler in 2014 with Stephanie McMahon. Wrestler of the Decade in the 2000s. 2000 to 2009, Wrestler of the Decade. Wrestler of the Year in 2008. In 2000 and 2009, he ranked number 1 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500. And in the PWI years in 2003, he came in at number 139. Sports Illustrated ranked number 7 of the 20 greatest WWE wrestlers of all time. And then in WWE, 9-time WWE champion, 5-time World Heavyweight champion, 5-time Intercontinental champion, 2-time European champion, 1-time a unified tag team champion with Shawn Michaels, overall 3-time tag team champion. Well, 2 actually. 1 with Shawn Michaels, of course, the unified, and then the other with Stone Cold Steve Austin as part of the 2-man power trip back in 2001. 1997 King of the Ring, 2-time winner of the Royal Rumble, 2002 and 2016. Won the Road to WrestleMania tournament in 2006, which led to that awesome match with John Cena at WrestleMania 22. 7th Triple Crown champion, 2nd Grand Slam champion, 3-time Slammy Award winner. He won for Best Hair in 1997. 2011 OMG Moment of the Year when Taker kicked out of the Tombstone Piledriver that Triple H did on him at WrestleMania 27, and then the Match of the Year with The Undertaker, the end of an era, Hell in a Cell, WrestleMania 28. And he can now call himself a 2-time Hall of Famer. 2019 went in as a member of D-Generation X, and obviously he will headline the class of 2025. And then the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Best Booker in 2000. He was voted Best Booker in 2015 with Ryan Ward. 2023 Best Booker, yes. 2000 Feud of the Year against Mick Foley. 2004 Feud of the Year with Chris Benoit and Shawn Michaels. 2005 Feud of the Year with Dave Bautista. 2000 was voted Wrestler of the Year. Another dubious honor. 2002 Most Disgusting Promotional Tactic. The infamous Katie Vick angle. Again, we don't talk about that. Most Overrated from 2002 to 2004 and 2009. 02 and 03, he was the Reader's least favorite wrestler. 2002, Worst Feud of the Year against Kane. 2006, Worst Feud of the Year with Shawn Michaels versus the McMahons, Vince and Shane. 2011, Worst Feud of the Year against Kevin Nash. 2013, Worst Feud of the Year as a member of the Authority against The Big Show. Worst Worked Match of the Year with Scott Steiner, Royal Rumble 2003. That dud of a match. Don't watch that match. It was that awful. Another Worst Worked Match of the Year, 2008, the Triple Threat at Survivor Series with Edge and Vladimir Kozlov. 2018, Worst Match of the Year with Shawn Michaels against the Brothers of Destruction at Crown Jewel. And then in 2005, went into the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame. And he also has some other special honors. Went into the, believe it or not, he's an inductee of the Boys and Girls Club of America Hall of Fame in 2017. 2015 class of the International Sports Hall of Fame. And then Metal Hammer Magazine gave him Metal Hammer's Spirit of Lemmy Award in 2016. Of course, that goes in honor of Lemmy from his favorite band, Motorhead, which, of course, responsible for the game song, obviously. It's not just his wrestling career, but it's also because of what he has done when it comes. You wonder why WWE is kicking all kinds of ass nowadays. It's because of him. It's because of his vision, the same vision he had in NXT, and thanks to him, he has made WWE the most fun it has ever been, and that's why we cannot help but wax poetic about the shows almost every week. So his career speaks for itself, and you think about what, and the one quick observation I have about Triple H's career, MF. Think of how far he's come. I mean, he had those horrible gimmicks in WCW, Terror Rising, and of course Jean-Paul Levesque when he was in WCW. He goes to WWE, made an immediate impact, but then of course the infamous curtain call incident. I mean, the curtain call in Madison Square Garden with him, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, when they broke kayfabe and they had a real moment in the ring, and Triple H was the scapegoat and all that. He got buried because of that. 1996, he was supposed to win the King of the Ring, but that push got derailed, and they ended up burying him as a result because, hello, Shawn Michaels was the champion at the time, and Hall and Nash were on their way to WCW. So Hunter had to take the fall. And oh boy, did he bounce back after that. Oh my goodness. He would win the King of the Ring the following year in 1997, right here in Providence. Oh, by the way, our own Michael Bullock actually attended that show. So Bullock was actually got to see that live as it happened. So from the Blue Blood, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, of course, the work he did, of course, him in China, that speaks for itself. Of course, now it's Stephanie, D-Generation X, the McMahon-Helmsley era, the McMahon-Helmsley regime, the Authority, of course, Evolution. We can't forget about Evolution. And of course, what he's doing nowadays, being the man who has made WWE and taken it to heights they have never, ever seen before. And he is literally the reason why WWE is hands down not only the best promotion in the world, but the most fun it has ever been for us as fans to watch. So beyond thrilled for him, and
not only that, but I can also confirm from the wrestling newsletter, they did their awards thing this year. Oh, by the way, WWE promotional top wrestling company in the world in 2024.
Wow.
They got the number one spot.
And we all know why, because of all the records after records after records after records. I mean, man, oh man. I mean, they've made more money in the last couple of years than I think they ever did under the previous administration. I mean, all these records. They had their easily 2024 was their biggest year ever. And I think every year going forward, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as long as he keeps doing what he's doing. So, a favorite of all of us. I mean, I'm a big fan of his. I know Bullock's a big fan of his. But MF, I know this one is especially this one hits for you because we all know how much you respect and admire and appreciate Triple H. So I know how much he means to you, especially. So I can only imagine what his speech is going to be like and what that ovation is going to be like. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. I think Shawn Michaels will be the one to induct him. After all, Triple H inducted Shawn when Shawn Michaels went into the Hall of Fame in 2011. I would not be surprised if it ends up being Shawn for that. So, although Stephanie also a worthy candidate as well. So, but congratulations, Triple H. And, I can't wait to see your speech. It's going to be something else. I think he's going to give Undertaker a run for his money when it comes to best induction speech of all time. I really do. So that's going to be awesome. It's going to be an emotional moment, and I know no one's going to be more emotional than our own good old MF Michael Fletcher because of how much Triple H means to him. Now then, as for Michelle McCool, MF, you know this. Back in our old days when we were having our chats, when we were doing the Raw and SmackDown chats back in the day, you know how smitten I was with Michelle McCool. I mean, hell, John Bradshaw Layfield was smitten with her as well. He would jokingly on commentary call her the next Mrs. Layfield. I mean, and she's come a long way as well, MF. And Michelle also makes history because Michelle McCool becomes the first WWE Diva Search contestant to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. So from the Diva Search 20 years ago, where she finished 7th, in that. I mean, Maria Kanellis was in the top 5. She finished 5th. Of course, another favorite of yours, MF, Christy Hemme. She ended up winning the thing. And SummerSlam 2004, Diva Dodgeball. I mean, nobody dominated the Diva Dodgeball, that game of Diva Dodgeball more than Michelle McCool did. Great athletic background, Florida State University, Florida State Seminole, of course. And her body of work, well, obviously not as much as Hunter's, but it's still decent. Live Audio Wrestling End of Year Awards, Feud of the Year in 2009 against Maurice for the Divas Championship. Pro Wrestling Illustrated voted her Woman of the Year in 2010. And also in 2010, PWI Female 50, she came in at number 1. Baltimore Sun voted her Diva of the Year in 2008. And then in WWE, 2-time WWE Women's Champion, 2-time WWE Divas Champion. Oh, by the way, she was the first ever Divas Champion when she defeated Natalya, Great American Bash 2008. Also in 2008, she won a Diva competition on SmackDown. 2 Slammy Awards, one Diva of the Year in 2010. Also in 2010, she won the infamous Knucklehead Moment of the Year when she and Layla lost to Mae Young, the late great Mae Young, as part of that old school Monday Night Raw, November 15th of 2010 in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And last but certainly not least, as of 9:53 this morning, Michelle McCool taking her rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. I did see some MF. You talked about some naysayers and some haters out there. I did come across some hateful comments regarding both of these inductions. I remember reading one saying, "Oh, first Stephanie's husband and now Taker's wife." Okay, so rubs me a little bit the wrong way, but let's make no mistake about it. Triple H's body of work alone speaks for itself, and also what he's done for WWE ever since he took the reins, and he's made WWE the most fun it's ever been for us fans. And Michelle McCool, her great athletic background, a personal favorite of mine. MF, I actually talked to Bullock about this earlier. Bullock called me up earlier this afternoon, and I'll tell you what. And I told this to him. I mean, I told him, hey, MF will tell you firsthand how smitten I was with Michelle McCool, and it's not just her beauty; it was also her athleticism. She was a great athlete too. Like I said, that Diva Dodgeball at SummerSlam 2004, and what she did in the ring. I mean, me personally, I'll never forget that sexy teacher gimmick that she had back in 2006. That's when I became smitten with her, and I told Bullock, hey, I mean, I liked her for her beauty and athleticism. I know you probably do too, but I know it means a little bit more to you because of who she's married to. Of course, Bullock's all-time hero, his favorite, The Undertaker. And I think ultimately, I think Shawn Michaels will be inducting Triple H like Hunter did for him in 11. But let the speculation begin about who's going to induct Michelle McCool. I mean, Undertaker, a worthy candidate. Layla, worthy candidate. Mickey James, even. You even said it. I didn't even think about that. But
yeah, look, I think it could be right now. It could be any one of those three. I mean, it could be any one of those three to induct Michelle. There's no doubt in my mind. I think it could go. I think right now, if push comes to shove, I think Layla might be in the lead because personally, I think, and I know the fans have been wanting Layla to be the one to do it. So I think it could be Layla. I think it's going to be her.
I would have no problem with that whatsoever.
And just like on a personal level, yes, we know how much you loved Michelle McCool, but you guys also know how much I loved Layla.
Oh.
And I've been dying to see this girl come back for a very, very, very long time. She even teased me a little bit that he might have been a surprise entrant for the Royal Rumble. It didn't happen, but she did tease it and had me excited for a little bit. And then the rug got pulled out from under me.
But if she, now here's the thing. You were, I know they haven't formally announced when it's going to be, but
yes,
let's not forget the last 3 years they've done it the night before WrestleMania, immediately following SmackDown. So
the problem is that it's a 3-hour format.
It's on the West Coast.
Yeah, I know.
Vegas.
That's what I'm afraid of, because that means we're gonna have to burn the midnight oil on this one.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out.
We're gonna have to, because
I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they do it, because that's how they've done it the last 3 years.
And
so 2021 was a pre-taped. They pre-taped it. So because of obviously COVID, and they did they merged 2 nights into one. So
yeah,
which made that pretty cool. But in the Thunderdome, but nonetheless, congratulations to both Triple H and Michelle McCool. Well deserved for both of them. I couldn't be happier for them both. And one other quick thing, MF, and that is, there is an inkling about who now. Traditionally, we have a headliner, that's Triple H. We have our woman, which is Michelle McCool. You know, we're probably going to get a posthumous inductee, someone who passed away, but never got to take their rightful place in the Hall of Fame. We had 2 of those last year, in Leah Maivia, The Rock's grandmother, and of course Muhammad Ali, who went into the celebrity wing.
Yeah,
we could get a celebrity. but they also have a tendency to do. They also induct tag teams, and I think this could be the year.
The thing is that this was a decree that was made by McMahon that there has to be a tag team inducted. So,
and based on the news that I have been hearing in the sheets that I've been reading, there is a old school tag team, one of the greatest tag teams in WWE history that we fans have been dying to see finally get their call to the hall. And I think this could finally be the year for this particular tag team, if you know who I mean.
Yes. Oh, I've heard it. I've heard those rumors.
I think it could be.
And now that we found out that they signed the Legends contracts, yes, there is a very good possibility this could happen. More than ever, this could actually happen.
And if it does, I'm going to mark the F out. I'm telling
you.
Oh,
yeah. I will openly admit this. This was the tag team we grew up with when we started watching the WWF.
Absolutely.
In the late 80s, early 90s, this was the flag bearers of that division at the time.
Yes.
So we'll just leave it at that.
We will.
If they do get the call, we'll reveal it, who they are.
Oh, you better believe it.
But right now, we just have to hold and wait and see if they actually do the unthinkable and pull the trigger. But if they do, oh boy, get ready for that night.
Oh, yeah.
Because, boys, we got a lot to say about this team. That's all I'm going to say. We got a lot to say about that team.
So congratulations again to Triple H and Michelle McCool and MF. Like I said, I mean, both of them well-deserving. And but I know that Triple H one definitely hits hard for you. Definitely.
Oh, it hit home. It definitely hit home. Because when you guys sent me that video, I gotta admit, I got a little misty-eyed. I did. Of
course.
I got a little misty. I was like, wow, they actually got one on Hunter. That very rarely ever happens, but they did it. So, oh yeah. I was feeling it. I felt it. It hit for me. And even for Michelle, I'm happy for her. She deserves it. So, yeah. Nothing really more to say. You ran down all the greatness, so we're just gonna get right back into the SmackDown. And the next match that we had was the Motor City Machine Guns versus Los Garzas, and it was Motor City Machine Guns. They won the match, 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Anthony, it goes to you. After all that, you're still front and center.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see. Both teams had some impressive double team spots throughout the bout to highlight their speed, teamwork, and agility. Motor City Machine Guns win the match. They scored the win in a solid bout and will likely focus on regaining the WWE Tag Team Championship moving forward. The way Los Garza were countering some of Motor City Machine Gun's signature offense made them look better than they ever have. And it's hard to believe that Angel and Berto were in WWE for this long before they were finally used in the tag team division on a regular basis. And, of course, you noticed you didn't see Elektra Lopez out there. Unfortunately, Elektra Lopez got released from WWE as part of those budget cuts, if you will, last week. And that totally flew under our radar. I mean, yes, she appeared on camera last week, but shortly after, unfortunately, she got released. So it's going to be a 3-man unit going forward with Santos Escobar, Angel Garza, and Humberto Carrillo. So we wish Elektra the best, obviously. So we'll see where she goes. So this is about what was that time again? 7 minutes or so?
7:45.
That's 2.5, 2 3/4 territory right there. And speaking of the tag team championship, next Friday night on SmackDown in New Orleans, DIY will defend the titles against Pretty Deadly. So, with how hot and heavy the SmackDown tag team division is, that's going to be one to keep an eye on. So, 2.5, 2 3/4. So, MF, your thoughts?
Yeah, 2.5. It was a solid match, no doubt about it. Could have been better in certain areas, but I'm not going to overly complain about it as well. I think they really served its purpose, and it was a fine match. So we do move on. It was LA Knight versus The Miz. LA Knight winning the match in 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Another 2.5, close to 3. It was a solid matchup, to say the very least. And once the match was over, obviously, you had Nakamura showing up, and it looks like here we go. We might be looking at another LA Knight Shinsuke Nakamura showdown for the United States Heavyweight Championship. So I think they did a solid match. It was a good battle, but the outcome was never in doubt. LA Knight wins. I think everybody's happy about that. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Down the middle match, they did some good work, but it never felt like they left second gear until after the mid-match break. And the crowd came alive when LA Knight finally hit the BFT, followed by an elbow drop for the win. He and Nakamura had a stare down at the end of the segment, so they will clearly enter into another feud for the U.S. title. Maybe Elimination Chamber. I could see that. Knight and Miz are so similar in so many ways. They would actually be a good tag team if they ever considered it. Miz's fake crying was so over the top that it was almost funny. The keyword being almost. And LA Knight hit the steel steps hard when Miz shoved him. So Nakamura had a pre-match promo before this. LA Knight interrupted it, and then the Miz interrupted, and that's how we got this match. And I guess you could say an unofficial championship committee moment, MF. It looks like LA Knight's going to get another shot at regaining the United States Heavyweight Championship after losing it to Shinsuke Nakamura back at Survivor Series. So we'll see how that goes. So I'll give it a solid 3 for the effort. So with all that being said, it's not often we get cutouts on SmackDown, but I believe we got one here.
Yeah, this is the lone cutout of the night. It was Carmelo Hayes versus R-Truth. Carmelo Hayes winning the match in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Then after that, there was a little bit of some promo stuff. But then we get into this is the big one. Nia Jax versus Tiffany Stratton for the WWE Women's title on the line. The winner of the bout via disqualification in 17 minutes and 20 seconds. And still, the WWE Women's Champion, Tiffany Stratton, Candice LeRae interferes after it looked like Tiffany was setting up for the prettiest moonsault ever. Candice LeRae hit the ring. That caused the DQ finish. But then we got even more chaos. Trish Stratus showed up with a chair in hand to go after Candice LeRae, and she got jumped by Nia Jax. Once that was over. So everything looked like it was done, over and done with. So Candice and Nia got escorted out. They were helping Trish to the back to try to make sure she was okay after the everything exploded. Well, here comes Charlotte Flair to come out, the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble. And, well, she said it point blank, clear as day, for all of us to hear. The Queen chooses you. I will see you at WrestleMania.
Let's go.
It is official. It will be Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton for the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania 41, Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas, Nevada. Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
The match we wanted. It was the match
It
I
is.
definitely wanted.
It's on.
Let's go. Okay. Overall, it was a 4 to 4.25 star match, but I'm going to bump it down to around 3.5, 3 3/4 because of the interference. The match lasted through a break into the next segment and saw Nia Jax control the action for an extended period of time. And this was booked to make the champion look like a huge underdog, and it worked for the most part. While they had a handful of good spots, there were also moments when they were clearly on different pages. A few sloppy moments really stuck out and hurt the flow of the bout, which was unfortunate because a lot of what they did looked great. Candice LeRae interfered to cause a disqualification, but Nia didn't seem upset. She continued to attack the champion until Trish Stratus got involved to make the save, and Nia Jax was able to take out both women before officials made her leave. Charlotte Flair came out while Tiffany was still recovering and declared that she would challenge Tiffany Stratton for the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania. WWE aired a hype video for this bout between their entrances. It would have been much more effective earlier in the show. The pop-up Samoan drop looked good, but it was close to being a bad landing for Stratton. Stratton tried a sunset flip counter, but it went horribly wrong, and Stratton's double stomp in the corner looked awesome. Couple things here. First things first. You noticed after the match was over, there was a backstage moment. Trish Stratus approached Tiffany Stratton in the back. And it sounds to me like we're going to get Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae at Elimination Chamber. Oh,
yeah. Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah. My all-time favorite. She's coming out of retirement, and it's only fitting because Elimination Chamber, March 1st, Rogers Center, formerly the Sky Dome in Toronto. And that's Trish's hometown. And the last time they did a PLE there, you got to go all the way back to WrestleMania 18.
Yep.
Rock and Hogan. Need I say more?
Unfortunately, I don't believe it went her way that night in Toronto, if I remember correctly.
Jazz.
But, yeah.
It was a triple threat match. It was Jazz versus Trish Stratus versus Lita. That also had that infamous leg moment. So,
yeah.
JR said it. One went west, one went east. We all remember that call.
Yeah.
So, yes, Trish did not get the Duke that night. She should have, but I'm just saying. But anyways, but it'll be great to see Trish and Tiffany. That's gonna be. I'm very interested to see how that's gonna work out. Against Candice and Nia. So, sign me up, baby. Sign me up. Trish is my all-time, as we all know. And I can't fathom the fact that it's been 25 years since we were introduced to that beautiful dame. Oh.
Yeah.
Her very first appearance has lived rent-free in my head for the last 25 years. I'm not going to lie. Not going to lie.
Which I believe was a Sunday Night Heat, because she was just standing there watching either, I think it was Albert or Test, and she just didn't say a word, but just stood there at that rampway, just watching. And you're in the back of your mind is like, who is this?
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
16-year-old me. When I was 16 years old.
Pretty much. 16,
yep. Just starting high school. And that's exactly what I said. My jaw hit the floor, literally, when I saw that game.
I remember because you hit me up and you're like, are you watching Sunday Night Heat? I was like, yeah, of course. Why? He's like, who is that? I was like, I don't know. He must be new. And I remember straight from his mouth, and I know this is straight up Florio. He said this. He's like, "Oh my God, I think I'm in love."
Mm-hmm.
That like word for word. That's exactly what he said that night.
And I
when
still
he made her debut.
and I still am to this day.
Yeah.
So, she hasn't aged. She ages
No.
like fine wine.
No.
I mean, and I can't wait to see her in action at the Chamber with her and Tiffy. Her and Tiffy going up against Nia and Candice. That's going to be something else. So, man, as if this Chamber event couldn't get any more exciting. Oh, with those stacked Chamber matches and what else they got going on. Oh my goodness. So, and speaking of the Elimination Chamber, now that Charlotte has made her intentions clear, that now means the winner of that stacked Women's Chamber match gets Rhea at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
For the Women's World Championship.
And you also got to feel, and in one way, you got to feel for Rhea because she wanted that fight with Charlotte so bad, but now that is off the table because Charlotte has made it.
Me. Not really me though. I would not have been mad at it if it had been Charlotte and Rhea. I wouldn't have minded it because the two matches they had were both bangers, obviously.
Yeah,
and the two greatest. 39.
But there was an outside shot of it, even though I think we all agree. The Tiffany versus Charlotte was possibly the way they were going to go, and we were saying that was the one we wanted it to see. That was what we were hoping to see. That was the thing that we were like, man,
matchup.
It's going to be a banger if that match happens. But there were some people out there who had some hopes that maybe we get the trilogy fight. That we do get Rhea versus Charlotte one more time at WrestleMania.
And I would have been okay with that if they had done that. I would certainly not have been mad at that at all. I wouldn't have. But the thing is, MF, and we've talked about this at length many of times on this program. What do I always preach about? Fresh matchups.
Fresh new matchups. And this is a fresh match. This is the first time ever. We've never had Tiffany versus Charlotte. We will at WrestleMania.
And that's why I wanted it.
Yep.
So maybe a year or so, maybe a year or somewhere down the road, maybe we'll get the rubber match. But for right now, when you think of the body of work, the all-time body of work of Charlotte Flair, for the last 10 or so years since Charlotte started in NXT, and everything that she has done in NXT and Raw and SmackDown, you name it, her body of work and her resume speaks for itself, and her athletic ability, top notch. Tiffany Stratton, who was a member of a United States Olympic gymnastics team. You know a little bit more about that, MF, because that's your wheelhouse. The Olympics, the gymnastics. So Tiffany's gymnastics background and her athletic ability, and you combine, you put these two together, I think we're going to be in for a banger anyway. So yeah. Charlotte's power and athletic ability versus Tiffany's gymnastic background on the grand stage of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Just get me to Vegas now. Get me to Vegas now. I want to see this. So
we still got
for this. I can't.
We still got 2 months away
9 weeks
before we get to WrestleMania, bro. We're not there yet. I know you want it to be April 19th, April 20th, because that's when WrestleMania happens. Mm-hmm. But we're still over 2 months away. We're not there yet.
9 weeks to be exact. So 9 weeks we gotta wait. So, but all I know is that match is gonna be insane. I can't wait to see it. And now, question is, who comes out of that stacked women's chamber match? Whoever gets that gets Rhea. So
yeah, I mean, going around. It's going to be Bianca,
and that was a match that was. I remember 2 years ago, that was the dream match. I mean, that was the match that they wanted. I mean, we thought for sure, we're getting it. But then Bianca, but then Rhea says, "I choose you, Charlotte." What? okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were disappointed at first. But what happened? I mean, we were disappointed going into it. Once the match happened, we're like, okay, we're not disappointed anymore. They only gave us the greatest women's match in WrestleMania history.
Yeah.
5 stars and then some. So, I mean, maybe this is where we get Bianca. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be mad at that. Liv's been done to death. We don't need to see Liv again. I mean, Bianca, early favorite. But what if Roxanne Perez wins that qualifier on Monday night? Then what?
Yeah. But I don't. The problem is, I don't see Roxanne as a legitimate threat, especially for Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be the problem, is that Roxanne would be too new for that spotlight. Can she carry that spotlight at WrestleMania? Where,
that's
if
true.
you really think about it,
Rhea been there, done that.
Rhea been there, done that. Bianca's been there, done that. But they've never faced off against each other. And if you really think about it,
It'll make up for 2 years
power,
ago.
strength, and everything, they are actually equal.
Yeah.
On all fronts.
And it would make up for two. And it would also make up for 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When
so I kind of feel like if they do Bianca versus Rhea, it is split down the middle. There's actually no
clear-cut favorite.
There's no favorite. It will literally be a toss-up to who's going to win that match.
Very true. Very true. But it's very exciting to think about. And now that you say that, MF, if we get that, oh my goodness, both of those women's matches are going to be bangers. So, overall, for this particular bout, this was 4 to 4 1/4. But because of the interference, I've got to bump it down to around 3.5, 3 3/4. Still a good match, though. Very good match.
All right. With that said, the only thing that we have left on this show, the triple threat.
Here we go.
For the men's elimination chamber, as it was Damian Priest, Braun Strowman, and Jacob Fatu, and the winner of this match in 16 minutes and 20 seconds. All rise for Damian Priest. He wins. He's going to chamber. Crazy ending to the match because Solo Sikoa came in to try to get involved in the fight. Cody Rhodes came out to basically cut Solo off at the pass. And when it was all said and done, it was Damian Priest to get the win and lock his place into Toronto. He's going to the Sky Dome for the Elimination Chamber, and my goodness, what a match! You can make an argument for a really good high rating of 3 stars is what I'm going to give it. Could go higher, but with all the overbooked finish, I got to give it only 3. But still, a great matchup. And Damian Priest has added his name to practically the greatest lineup in WWE history. This lineup is insane with the guys that are already in the Elimination Chamber. And oh, by the way, there's one more match, and it's going down on Monday. Anthony Florio.
Yes.
It's yours.
That match, of course, MF is alluding to Seth freaking Rollins versus Finn Balor. Whew. Wow. And we know that history. So, okay. Entertaining main event with a lot of action, but the level of outside interference seemed excessive at the end. It worked, but it was still a bit much. Another 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Jacob Fatu is one of the few people who is believable when he no-sells offense. He looks insane enough to not feel pain. In fact, 2 yanking Priest off the top rope into a Samoan drop was awesome. Happy for Damian Priest. He definitely deserves the moment. I mean, I know they want to keep him right around that world title picture. I mean, I'm not mad about the outcome. I'm a wee bit disappointed because I'll be honest with you, MF, and we talked about this on this show last week. I kind of wanted to see Jacob win that match. I mean, because I wanted to see Jacob Fatu go nuts in the chamber, but it is what it is. But Damian Priest, the big name out of the 3 here, so they obviously wanted to stack the field, and my goodness, you thought that women's one was stacked? Look at the men's side: John Cena, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, and now you're going to add Damian Priest to this. And then Monday night, we're going to add either Seth freaking Rollins or Finn Balor. I got Seth winning that match. So you add Seth to that match? Whew. Oh, my word. Good luck trying to pick a winner in that one. But right now, I got it between John Cena and CM Punk. So, but we got a couple weeks to think about it. So we're going to be previewing that in a couple of weeks. So on the February 28th edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. So mark that down on your calendars, February 28th. So another 3.5, 3 3/4 star match. So a little surprised by the outcome because I wanted to see Jacob win it because I wanted to see what Jacob would do in the chamber. But don't worry, he's still somewhat new, and maybe a year or two we'll get him in the chamber in a year or two. But I don't know what else there is to say. So I believe I do the overall review here.
Yes, you do.
All right. Tonight's SmackDown saw a lot of forward movement in various storylines, but the biggest development was Charlotte Flair deciding to face Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania. Naomi and Chelsea Green turned in a solid performance in the opening bout, but all of the other bouts were entertaining in their own way. Even the short match between Carmelo Hayes and R-Truth had some value to it because it made Melo look like a dangerous competitor. With the Elimination Chamber matches almost filled up, the pay-per-view is almost set. We still have 2 weeks to go until the PLE, so WWE still has time to put a bow on all of the big storylines. So based on the body of work I saw here tonight, I'm going to give this in excess of 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for me. So a very good show. Solid newsworthy show to say the least. And that's how we like it here at Talking Wrestling TXN. We love talking about solid and newsworthy shows, and this definitely rated as one. 7.5 to 8 for me. So MF, let's get your overall review, and then we'll do a quick preview of Vengeance Day.
7.5 to 8 out of 10, no doubt about it. I think you totally agree with everything that we said here. So let's just get right on into NXT Vengeance Day. That is going down tomorrow night. That will be held live from the Care First Arena in Washington, D.C. And here is the fight card. It's actually 6 matches. Normally we only get 5, but they decided to throw us a 6th fight. First up on the list is Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams in a strap match. I'm gonna give this to Trick. I think Trick is gonna win this. I feel like they're gonna want to give him some momentum, keep the momentum going, heading into Stand and Deliver. So I'm gonna give him this one. So Anthony, I got Trick Williams winning. Who you got?
Whoop that Trick, man. This is the match that will bring the violence for the evening. WWE is attempting to portray a new violent version of Trick Williams, and pitting him in a strap match against someone as experienced as Eddie Thorpe will be a great step in the right direction. This will be a fun one from start to finish as they will work in a lot of spots using the strap. Trick Williams is the right call to win this match as he will keep his momentum toward a singles match, maybe against Obafemi. Is he ready for a call-up? Many think no, but how he performs in this bout can help change perception. Whoop that Trick. Trick Williams wins the match. And let's move on to the next match.
NXT tag team titles on the line. Fraxium, Nathan Frazier and Axiom goes up against Josh Briggs and Yosuke Imura, and this is for the NXT tag team titles. So Anthony, it's yours.
That's Yoshiki Inamura, and Nathan Frazier and Axiom are one of the best tag teams in professional wrestling. It is important to keep hammering that point home because it is easy to lose that message when thinking about how WWE books tag teams. Frazier and Axiom started an amazing run in 2024, and it continues to put out great matches. This will be another. What makes Fraxium so great is that they make their opponents look fantastic. That will be the case with this time, as Briggs and Inamura do not feel like the duo who would take the titles off of Fraxium. WWE is setting the stage for these two to split and have a great singles feud down the road, but they are walking out of this event with the titles. So winners and still the NXT Tag Team Champions, Fraxium, Nathan Frazier and Axiom. MF, what says you?
Agreed. I don't think there's not much more to be said there, so let's just move on. Next up, Javon Evans goes one-on-one with Ethan Page. You feel like this should be Javon Evans' victory here because of everything that has happened up to this point. But Ethan Page has gotten so dark lately, and he has definitely been very vengeful, to say the very least. Would I be shocked that Javon loses this fight? Yes, I would not be shocked if Javon loses this. And I don't want to say Ethan wins, but I could see that the rivalry could continue past Vengeance Day. So I'm going to go with Ethan Page to steal the fight, not a clean victory, is what I predict. Anthony, it's yours.
I would have predicted this match going in another way. That was before this past week's episode of NXT, which featured the man potentially known as Ricky Starks make his surprise debut in NXT. Now, what does that have to do with Javon Evans versus Ethan Page? I believe it's my prediction that the man to come out with the win in this match will go on to be the first opponent for Ricky Starks. And with that in mind, Ethan Page is the veteran who can help out more getting Starks established in this position. Evans does not need to take 2 losses to 2 top names in back-to-back feuds. This is why it makes more sense to see Ethan Page get the win here. So I'm going to go with Ethan Page to win this match, even though there is a part of me that's pulling for Javon Evans because,
I agree.
Because the thing is, he is to NXT what Leon Slater is to TNA. And that's a match that I hope to see in the future. I would love to see Javon Evans against Leon Slater. You do that, there's a low-key banger right there. So,
okay.
But Ethan Page wins this match. So, and I agree, by nefarious means, I can definitely see that. So, next match.
Fatal 4-way for the NXT Women's Championship. The champion, Julia, puts the title on the line against Bayley, Roxanne Perez, and Cora Jade. Anthony, it's yours.
This match is set up to do a couple of things. First, it will further establish Julia as a dominant champion, defeating 3 of the most important names to come through NXT. Second, it will set the stage for Bayley's next big feud on the main roster. Third, it's the doorway that will lead to both Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez possibly being called up to Monday Night Raw. There's been a lot of talk about Perez making her main roster move permanent. She is set to face Raquel Rodriguez in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match this Monday night on Raw. After being the Iron Woman in this year's Women's Royal Rumble match, Roxanne Perez does not need to do any more to prove she's ready for that step up. Adding Jade to this match was a surprise and raises the alarm that perhaps she's being prepped to hit the main roster also. Moving her and Roxy up as a tandem gives them someone to lean on while adding a team to the tag team division. Either way, Julia will walk out with the title in tow. So the winner and still the NXT Women's Champion, it is Julia. MF, what says you?
I agree. I don't think there's much of an argument here. Julia should win and win this one pretty handily, is what I would say. It's going to be a hard-fought fight, but I think she'll win it all. Next up, Fallon Henley versus Stephanie Vaquer. for the North American title, for the Women's North American Championship, I should say. We've been calling it. We've been prognosticating this. I think it's going to happen. I think history's going to be made. I think we're going to get a new champion. Stephanie Vacour is going to win the Women's North American title. She hinted something about that she was going to do it, and I think it's going to happen. I think the Black Widow of NXT is walking out the champion. The only way where maybe she doesn't win it is because of Fatal Influence, but even then, she's too good, too strong. I think, with everything that's riding on this one, Fallon's reign has been fine, but it's time for a new champion to step up and take it all. For me, winner and new champion Stephanie Vacour. I think she's winning. She's going home with the gold, Anthony.
This is an interesting match in the popular NXT women's division. Stephanie Vacour has come into the promotion and took the fans by storm. She is a beloved figure and becoming more popular by the day. Fallon Henley is one of those homegrown talents who surprised a lot of people when she landed in this spot as NXT Women's North American Champion. Consider this a quote-unquote heat check of sorts for Vacour. Is WWE ready to put a singles title on her, or will they have her wait a bit longer like they did with Julia when she first appeared in NXT? I would not at all be surprised if they do that, but I got to go with MF on this one. I got to go with the winner and new NXT Women's North American Champion, Stephanie Vacour. We've been calling this for months. I mean, we've been calling this for like several weeks or so. I know I have. I would be foolish to go back on that now. But that theory I just came up with, that there is a possibility that could happen. So don't rule it out. But for right now, I'm going to go with you, MF. I'm going to say that the winner and new Women's North American Champion, Stephanie Vacour, main event time.
Triple threat for the NXT Championship. Obafemi puts the title on the line against Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Florio, you lead.
Yeah, I think we all know this is easily the easiest the lock of the show right here. Obafemi is not losing this championship. Matter of fact, MF, I'm going to give you a Tony fun fact here. According to Cage Match, since 2024, you know what Obafemi's record is? 42-3. He is 42-3 since last year. I fully expect that to move to 43-3 after this PLE. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are two decent workers in their own right. Theory, a little more so than Waller, but this is not a match they should be in, let alone win. WWE is setting the stage for Theory and Waller to split, giving Theory the space to go on as a singles run, maybe as a babyface this time. And this will be the match where that chasm forms and perhaps the split happens entirely. Expect a lot of 2-on-1 maneuvers early in the bout until the stereotypical implosion between Theory and Waller happens. From there, they will battle it out over who will win the match or the title, only for one of them, probably Theory, to get decimated for Femi to pick up the win. So, lock of the show right here. Winner and still NXT champion, the ruler, Obafemi. Take us home, MF.
Yeah, all right. That's it. We're done. We're out of here. So, the way that this is going to be set it up is, I believe, because it is the show starting at 6 or 7, Anthony?
6.
We might actually be able to come back tomorrow night and recap this. We'll do it at 10:30. So just to give you guys a heads up. So 10:30 tomorrow night, right here on this same channel, we'll recap Vengeance Day. Tuesday night, we do it all over again. We'll lead off with the new version of Ridiculously Raw. Anthony Florio will have it. Monday Night Raw, NXT. And then on Thursday, we got another edition of the we got another edition of the TXN Sports World. We'll recap the All-Star Weekend. We'll recap, and as a matter of fact, we'll be at the point of the finals of the Four Nations. So we'll recap all of the Four Nations stuff. And then I guess that probably would be it. It would probably be a light docket. And then if there's any other hot stove stuff, either from the NFL, any rumors on NBA stuff or NHL, we'll get into that as well. And then 1 week from tonight, we do it all over again with the Cerebral Smack Talk, TNA and SmackDown live recaps. So, and I believe that's also the weekend of the Chamber too, if I remember. No, Chambers is March 1. So it'll be the week after that. It's the week after that.
Yep.
So that's it. So we're out of here. So we'll see you guys tomorrow night. For Anthony Floyo and Michael Bludgeon, have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you all tomorrow night.
Goodbye.